Good day everyone, I am Sabasaje and I am your reporter for today. My topic is all about the demand and supply of real estate. Real estate supply and demand is something that you thought of. We certainly have, really breathe it every day. Have you ever wondered why home prices are what they are? It's likely has something to do with the supply and demand. Basic business knowledge says when demand for a product is high and supply is low, prices tends to be higher. So conversely, when the demand for a product is low and supply is high, prices tends to be lower. The real estate market is no different. However, it's more complicated than that, as there are many factors that come into play. There are four factors that influence the supply of real estate. First is the active listing. Active listing plays a major role in the supply of real estate. More active listing in the market means that there are greater supply of homes for home buyers to choose from. However, when active listings are tight, there are fewer homes to choose from. One neighborhood might have only one or two homes for sale. Fewer active listing and stronger demand for real estate means that our homes are likely to sell for more. However, if there are many homes available but few buyers, then homes are likely to sell for less or not at all. So second is new homes. When there's a mismatch between real estate supply and demand, new homes can help fill the gap. However, there have to be enough new homes built to keep up with demand. So when a lack of serviceable land and government red tape gets in the way, the new homes being built simply may not be enough to keep up with demand, thus leading to higher home prices. So third is permits. In new home and condo construction, permits influence the supply of housing. If there's a lot of government red tape and it takes a long time to bring new homes and building to market, there tends to be a lower supply of homes, which means that homes prices tends to be higher. However, if the government streamlines the process of obtaining a permit, then there tends to be a greater supply of homes and consequently prices tends to be lower. So it is important to note that more permits don't necessarily means a greater number of homes will be built. A new home project still has to be financially viable for the developer to proceed with it. So if home prices drop too much or interest rates go up, it could lead to a developer deciding not to move forward with a project, even if they have the permit to do so. And last factors that influence the supply of real estate is the land use. Land also plays a big role. At a high level, land use is, as the name states, how you can use the land, and it's generally controlled by municipalities. Land use determines whether you can build residential or commercial properties there. It also stipulates density, the height of the buildings, and the types of properties such as houses, townhouses, or condos. So if there are mismatch between the land use and the demand for new homes, it can lead to a shortage of homes and an increase in home prices. For example, if everyone wants to live in a detached house with a yard in a certain area, but the land use only allows for condos, it could lead to higher home prices for the few detached houses that are there. There are also five factors that influence the demand of real estate. First is the interest rate. Interest rate plays a key role in housing demand. Low interest rates means that the cost of borrowing is lower, and the home buyers can afford to borrow more by way of a mortgage and consequently can spend more on a home. The reverse also holds true. High interest rates means that the cost of borrowing is higher and the home buyers can afford to borrow less in mortgage and therefore can spend less on home. Think about real estate supply and demand this way. So back in 1970s and 1980s, when Canadians were seeing double-digit mortgage rates, many people didn't want to own a home. Housing demand was down. So it simply didn't make sense to own a home when mortgage rates were almost as high as credit card interest rates. Conversely, with mortgage rates at less than 3% these days, this low cost of borrowing has helped fuel and demand for real estate in markets across the Canada. So, second is the economy. The overall economy and job market also play key roles in real estate supply and demand. So, when the economy is good, the demand for real estate tends to be higher. However, when the economy is struggling, demand for real estate tends to be lower. So it's the same for the job market. When the job market is good, then the demand for real estate tends goes up. But when the job market is poor, then the demand for real estate goes down. So this can make a lot of sense. If the job market is struggling and you're out of work or you're unsure whether your job is secure, you probably aren't going to rush out to buy a home. Similarly, when the job market is doing well and your employer and the overall economy are on the upswing, you probably feel a lot of more confident about buying a home. The same can be said about the overall economy. While you might still have your job during a recession, you also might be worried that you could be laid off at any moment, and you're probably not looking to buy a new home. The last thing you want to do is to buy a home, lose your job shortly afterwards, and have no way to afford the mortgage payments. So third is affordability. Affordability is another factor to consider. This simply means how affordable real estate is in your desired city or town in comparison to your paycheck. When home prices are high relative to income, demand tends to be less, whereas when home prices are low relative to income, demand tends to be higher. For example, Toronto has a low overall average income, but home prices are the second highest in the country. Meanwhile, Ottawa has a higher average income than Toronto and the lower overall real estate prices. This plays into the demand of real estate in both markets and the price of homes. So the affordability of renting also plays into the demand of real estate. So if renting is a lot cheaper than owning a home, people may choose to rent instead of own. So next is the immigration. Immigration also plays into the demand of real estate. The more immigrant there are in a particular city, the more higher the demand of real estate. In order to become a Canadian citizen and a permanent resident, an immigrant needs to earn a certain number of points. That means that they have a bright future and are likely to own a decent income, which helps them buy into a real estate markets and boost the demand for real estate. As an example, the Greater Toronto area sees about 100,000 new immigrants each year, which boosts the demand for real estate and leads to higher home prices. Likewise, foreign buyers also affect the demand of real estate. These foreigners are looking for a safe place to park their money outside of their home countries. Although they may not plan to reside in Canada, buying a property here means there's higher demand for real estate and decreases the supply as well. So while a foreign buyer's tax has been introduced in some areas, foreigners with deep pockets may not mind paying it, so it may not affect the demand that much after all. So lastly is a mortgage qualifications. In recent years, the government has been tightening mortgage qualification rules. While you used to be able to get a mortgage with a 40-year amortization, you can't do so anymore. Now the minimum amortization is available for someone putting down less than 20% in 25 years, while the maximum amortization is 30 years for someone putting down more than 20%. So if you earn a decent income and you're buying in an affordable real estate market, that may not be a problem. But if you're buying in a city like Toronto where home prices are higher, it may disqualify you from mortgage on the property you had hoped to buy. The country's real estate industry is profitable and significant contributor to its gross domestic product. The good news is that the real estate sectors in the Philippines has consequently grown these last few years, and the market is expected to stay the same in 2023. Economic indicators project a rise in real estate prices this 2023 because of the uptick in demand. However, there are reasons other than market demand. One of the economic headwinds for this year's increase in real estate properties is the rising inflation rate in the country. According to the Philippine Statistic Authority or PSA, headline inflation in the Philippines climbed to 8.0% as of November 2022 to 8.1% as of December 2022. with the housing sectors recording to mark-up of 6.4%. And another factors in the price increase of real estate properties is the hike in interest rates, making it more expensive and challenging to borrow money from banks. According to Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas or BSP, Governor Felipe Medalla, there will be a 25 to 50 base point increase in interest rate within the same period. Because of this, investors are advised to consider real estate investment trust and the real estate property investment over stocks. And that would be all for the demand and supply of real estate. I hope you learned something and thank you for listening. Have a good day.